Good evening, comrades. Or carmrads, as it were. Welcome back to Socialism Saturday. By popular demand. Now, this is not going to be an every Saturday thing that I do 2 socialism streams in one day. This is just a special occasion. I hope you enjoyed the Russian anthem. I have spent more time than I probably should have over the last couple hours looking for a legit Soviet-era general hat. Because apparently you guys like Socialism Saturday, and so if we're gonna do Socialism Saturday, we're going to do Socialism Saturday correctly. Now, for those of you who missed the stream that we did earlier today, we stumbled upon a treat, a gift that the universe has given us, which is that Haymarket Books, over the past day and a half, has been live streaming the Socialism 2022 conference live from Chicago. Change everything. And they really do want to change everything. And if you are unfamiliar with Haymarket Books, I was also unfamiliar with Haymarket Books up until about a week ago when I discovered a teacher trainer doing webinars with them. And then someone said to me, Carlin, they publish socialist books. And I was like, really? And then I started looking at some of the videos on their channel. And yes, they do indeed publish socialist books. Marxism in a minute. We can watch a couple, maybe while we're waiting for our keynote tonight. We can learn about Marxist economics and where profits come from. They have all sorts of crazy stuff. Capitalism and the apocalypse. I didn't even see this. Capitalism and the apocalypse. We might have to watch that. We're basically going to watch all of their videos, I think. But what we were doing today is they are actually streaming this event live. And earlier we watched Transgender Marxism live. And we also watched Black Feminism and Liberation in 2022, which, to be honest, the Black Feminism presentation could really be summed up by saying they really hate capitalism. They talked about that woman talked, and she was a good speaker too. She talked about capitalism that entire presentation. So that was less a presentation about feminism than it was a 90-minute hate fest over capitalism. But tonight we have the main event. And I don't know why else they would be doing this at 9:00 tonight. But people, I did a poll earlier and I asked people, do you want me to come back to live stream their keynote later? And they said 91% of people said yes. And so they are starting a keynote. I think I'm going to assume it's a keynote in about 20 minutes called Racial Capitalism and the Case for abolition. So we thought, you know, why not just make a day of it? Maybe we'll do Socialism Saturdays from now on where we can watch legitimately socialist content and learn what that is and learn exactly what's going on, because God knows they ain't gonna teach it to you on oh god, I fucking hate conservatives in my comments. God, I always have to like get in there and instantly block all conservatives who are on my channel. No offense to any conservatives who might be watching it, but there are a lot of conservatives that just leave like shitty comments on my channel like all the effing time. Anyway, so and I just got one of those, and they say they like, why don't you just shut up and go away? I'm like, no, you can't shut me up, conservatives. Try as you might, you can't shut me up. You can never shut me up because I'm much more powerful than you, and I not going to take your shit anymore. Took it for 2 years. Anyhow, so the reason that we watch this type of content is, listen, like a lot of people joke about like CNN being socialist or like, you know, the Democratic Party being socialist. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. These are the real socialists. These are the legitimate socialists. And the reason you watch stuff like this and try to understand what they're saying is because these are the people leading the way for the Democratic Party. These are the people leading the way for woke left insanity. These are the people who are winning right now. These people are winning. And I know that it was shocking for a lot of people who maybe haven't seen like socialist content before, because it's not very good. If you've never seen this stuff, and it's all the same. This is not any like I've watched more of this stuff than I probably should have. Like it's all the same. Yes, Alexandra, this is live tonight. It was live earlier too, but this is live tonight as well. Yeah. So these people are completely inept, are not able to explain their concepts at all in any way. They speak in coded, crazy language, and they're still winning. And in order to defeat them, we need to understand what they're saying, and that's why we suffer through this content. Now, yeah, you might want to get some vodka. Maybe I didn't have time. Actually, you know what? Russian vodka got banned from the state liquor stores in New Hampshire. They took all the Russian vodka off the shelf. So I didn't have time. I didn't even leave the house. I didn't have time to go to the liquor store to get Russian vodka. I do have some hard cider here, but I definitely recommend like it's almost 9 o'clock on the East Coast. You know, go grab a cocktail, go get some vodka. If you want to do Socialism Saturday, right, you're gonna get the good Russian stuff. But I don't care about doing Socialism Saturday, right? And my state refuses to sell me Russian liquor, so I have some cider donut hard cider instead. But guys, it is actually like, as much as I might joke, it is actually important that we know what these people are saying, because these people really are driving the agenda, and they're winning. They are winning. If you watch legitimately socialist content from like 5 years ago, though they are using the same words 5 years ago that the Democratic Party is using today. So what we are going to see tonight is a precursor. It's like a preview, a coming attraction of what is going to happen if the Democrats continue to win. And I have very real concerns about the fecklessness of the political right and their inability to do anything effective. And maybe this will scare them. Maybe this will scare people into action. Oh, look, they're already gathering. They're already gathering. They're getting it. Like they all have to wear at this conference. It is mandated that they all be fully vaccinated and boosted. They have to have their proof of vaccine. And of course, they're all required to wear masks over their nose and mouth, which I'm sure they will announce again. And yeah, it's crazy. There's some crazy stuff that they've been saying. So that's what we're doing tonight, guys. We're doing Socialism Saturday. This could conceivably become a thing, because it is kind of, for me, a little bit of a guilty pleasure to watch this stuff, just because it is so unhinged and so crazy. And there's actually a lot of stuff on this Haymarket Book YouTube channel that I want to watch. They've got a presentation called, you know, it's funny, I was talking to Victor earlier, and I was talking to Victor about if I should get a Soviet era general hat to wear for these streams. And he agrees that I should definitely get a Soviet era general hat. But we were talking, he said to me, he was like, Carlin, have these people ever actually studied Russia? Like, he was getting all indignant. As some of you know, my husband is from Ukraine. And so like he was getting very indignant. Like, have these people ever actually studied Russia? And I said, Victor, they have a presentation on their YouTube channel from a month ago called What is the Relevance of the Russian Revolution Today? And I really do want to watch that presentation, and we will watch that presentation because apparently I made an awesome thumbnail for Socialism Saturday. It would be a shame just to use it once. So that's what we're going to be doing tonight, guys. Now they're just getting ready. You can see they're flitting about. We're not scheduled to get started for about another 15 minutes. So I'm going to do some plugs real quick. Now I do want to let you guys know, probably one of the most important things I can tell you directly relates to Socialism Saturday is that tomorrow in my supporter Discord, we are going to be having movie night. We are going to be watching 1984. We're going to be having a discussion about it. If you've never seen 1984, then you should definitely come and join us. It's a great movie. I can't wait to have a discussion with people. Of course, it's not as good as the book. The movies are never as good as the book, but I do actually think they legitimately did a pretty good job with this movie. It really does hold up. And so if you've never seen it before, or if you want to see it again, definitely come and join us in the supporter Discord tomorrow night at 8 p.m. You might be asking, Carlin, how do I get access to the supporter Discord? Well, you got to support the work I'm doing, and there are several ways you can do that. One of the ways is you can go over to activelyunwoke.com/support, or you can click the support button up in the upper right-hand corner. You can become a monthly donor on Patreon, anywhere from $5 a month all the way up to $250 a month, depending on what perks you want. You can get this cool ass t-shirt with the Mad Hatter giving the red pill for $25 a month. I love that t-shirt. It's honestly one of my favorite things I've ever designed. And so that's why I made it the special Patreon perk. If you don't want to give to Patreon, I totally get it. I know they cancel sometimes. That's why I have my locals community. My locals community has basically been my home base for the last 2 years. You can become a supporter in my community for $5 a month. You can become a supporter for $50 a year. You can also make a one-time gift. All of that is going to get you access to that supporter Discord. You can also become a member on my Substack, a paying member. Like, my Substacks are free to subscribe to, but if you want to support the work I'm doing, you can get a paid subscription. Again, $5 a month, $50 a year if you want to do that. Or you can give to my Schools Exposed Indiegogo campaign. I am raising money to teach 10,000 parents how to use publicly available information to find out what the public schools are teaching their kids. We are currently funding. We got 51 days left of funding. We are at $10,540. I'm really proud of that. And I really want to thank everyone who's donated to the campaign so far. But I would still like to get that number up. I would like a marketing budget for this. If I'm going to get in front of 10,000 parents, I need some marketing money, because I'm going old school. I'm going flyers. I'm going leaflets. I'm going advertisements in parent specific magazines, stuff like that. And so you can help me out by getting some by making a gift, but also getting some cool perks. You can be one of the first people to get access to the Schools Exposed program when it launches in January. If you are a parent of school-aged children, I promise you're going to want to be in this program. You can get that for $50 for right now. It's going to be $99 for one lifetime membership once I launch. I need to charge for it because I need to pay for the technology to be able to support it and to be able to get word out there for parents. But I'm also going to be providing scholarships for people who need them, because I do believe in making this information accessible to all people. If you would like to purchase not only a spot for yourself, but also a scholarship for someone else to be able to join who can't afford it themselves, that is going to come with a $90 gift. And I appreciate that. You can also get signed copies of my book. You can get private training with me. And at the $1,000 level, I will even knit you a beautiful, customized, one-of-a-kind, hand-knit shawl. We will pick out the yarns together. We will pick out the colors together. We will pick out the pattern. I will knit you something that is exclusive for you that no one else in the world has, and I'll make sure you get the good yarn. We're not using Michael's yarn. We're not using Hobby Lobby yarn. We're not using Joann's fabric. Not that anything is wrong with any of those places, but I use the really, really nice yarn. And we'll make sure that you love it, and it's the best thing you've ever had. And that you can get that by supporting my campaign, and you'll get access to the supporter Discord as well for movie night. And that's tomorrow at 8 p.m. Looking forward to see you guys there. If you don't have access to the Discord yet, I will be sending out a message tomorrow to make sure that everyone can get in, probably around 3-ish or so, like in the afternoon sometime, so that you can get all set up for 8 o'clock for our start time for 1984. You want me to knit dicks with smiley faces? All right. Well, we'll talk about that later, bot. We'll talk about that later. All right. Let's see. I think that's really all I have. Well, I did want to show you guys this. So for those who missed the stream earlier, the what like so this is the I just want to illustrate to you the type of people that we are watching tonight. In the presentation that we watched earlier, they very literally referenced this book, Abolish the Family, a manifesto for care and liberation. They also have this book, Feminism Against Family, Full Surrogacy Now. Basically, some of the things that these people were talking about earlier is they really are doing a direct attack on the family. They're basically saying that we should go full oh gosh, like The Giver or Brave New World, or they want full surrogacy. They don't want parents actually having kids or having ownership of their kids when they are born. This is serious, guys. They're writing books suggesting that all children should be born via surrogacy. How crazy is that? That is the level of lunacy that we are talking about with these people. Deborah says, I hope that can stay up for this session. I'm drinking Mexican hot chocolate. Oh, that sounds really good with Jameson's. You know what would be even better than Jameson's? Bailey's. Oh my God. Bailey's and hot chocolate. Basically the best thing ever. All right, guys. Well, I guess. Oh, Savritz says they're projecting their own barriers of perception into their life situations and onto others. They are self-creating their own placebo racism effect. Yes, they are, Savritz. That is very, very true. Now, I do want to say, guys, because listen, I have been streaming woke leftist presentations at least once a week for 2 years now. I tell you this because like leftists suck at technology. They do. Most of them don't even know how to use Zoom. They really like this looks like it's being filmed on a pin cam. Like what are they doing? Like look at this. This literally looks like it's like they've got like a little like GoPro or they've got like a pin cam or something. So I tell you this because there were some issues with the sound in the earlier presentations where the mics were not cooperating and sometimes they like look at these people, oh my God, like sometimes they fixed it and sometimes they didn't fix it. I will do my very best to mitigate any sound issues on my end. I just want to be very clear though, there is only so much I can do. All right? Like these people genuinely suck at technology. They always suck at technology. It almost never works the way they intended to. This is why right now we are watching on the internet as they finagle about with the camera to try to figure this out. And they're using a lens that I really don't think they should be using. So this could go horribly wrong in terms of the sound. This is a live event. This is not recorded. We're doing it live. So I promise you, I will do the very best that I can in order to make this bearable for all of us. I just all right. I know that you're with me on that. Savritz, you mean you're not going to mount the like button for me? Come on, Savritz. I thought we were friends. We got to do that. We are Savritz. We legitimately need to do a stream. I'm going to email you. I need to get some Disenrage streams scheduled. So don't worry. We're going to do our stream soon. I do legitimately have it on the list. I know I haven't I keep saying that, but like I it's a time management issue, Savritz. It's not something against you. It's a time management issue. I take on too much. All right. Look, the room is filling up. They're hacking me. Oh well, no, I don't think these people are adept enough to hack me, bot. I think that they're just inept. All right, guys, let me get this set up because I want to get the sound going. I want to be able to listen in to what's going on. Mount that like button if you are excited for Socialist Saturday. Let me know if you would like Socialist Saturday to become a regular thing. I really find this stuff to be fascinating, guys. I do. All right, can you hear the sound? All right, can you guys hear that sound? Oh. I'm not going to play that right now because I don't want to get like a copyright strike on my channel or anything with that music that they're playing. Oh, look at this. Oh, that guy's not following the mask rules. Okay, cool. All right. So I find these presentations to be fascinating. We've watched a couple like legitimately socialist things on Happy Hour on my second channel, but you're gonna find what one of the things I noticed about this, the hair aside, but look at all their clothes. They are all wearing that's like the first piece of red that I've seen. Most of these people are wearing really drab colored clothes. It really is like they live in a socialist society. The only color you see is red. They're all wearing drab, like black or olive or khaki or gray. Do you guys notice this? Color is not allowed in the land of the comrades. Can't wear color. Can't wear except if it's red. Red is allowed. No, they are not happy people. A lot of them are not happy people. You're gonna like, and this is true. This is not just true of this group. This is true of every single legitimately socialist presentation I've ever watched. They're not happy people. They use 50 words to say something when they could say it in two. In Russia, gray is the only color you need. The so-called conservatives can kiss my ass. Like that's how I feel about that. What are they doing? Are they doing something now that I should be aware of? God. The conservatives are just as bad as these people right here, I'll tell you what. I mean, do you see any pride or trans flags right now? I don't. I do not see any pride or trans flags right now. I don't see a keck flag either. I do not see a keck flag either. Christy, no, I define conservatives as the people who have been trying their level best to make my life a living hell for about a year and a half now, stalking every part of my existence, sending me death threats, lying about me all over the internet. If you're not one of the people doing that, I'm not talking about you, but the people doing that are almost universally conservative, because they are little whining crybabies that are upset that I left their team, and it took them about a year to realize that I left their team because they weren't paying attention, but they were really upset when I left their team and now are on a mission to cancel me perpetually, and have been doing it ever since. And yeah, they can go fuck themselves. That's how I feel about that. That's how I feel about that. But unlike whiny, complainy conservatives who never do anything of substance to actually help solve the problem, I am actually trying to help people, and I actually do want people to leave the left, and I actually do want people to wake up. I don't want them to become conservatives. I want them to become libertarians. But I'm still doing this stuff and teaching this stuff because, because, because. Because I try to believe that I have principles, unlike the conservatives who claim to hate cancel culture and then have engaged in cancel culture against me for the last year and a half. So, all right, let's check in on the sound again, guys. I'm just waiting for the music to stop. This is a oh, okay. I don't hear sound now, so that's good. I just didn't want to have the sound up. Well, it's not good that I don't hear sound. Hopefully they're fixing the sound. I just didn't want to have the sound up while they were playing music because I didn't want a copyright strike or anything. Guys, what are you looking forward to about Socialism Saturday today? Anything that you're looking forward to? So my work in progress is it's actually almost done. It's called the Garter Abyss Shawl from Westnitz. And it is a mile and a half long, and I'm just finishing up the border. It's a nice faded, just simple garter stitch shawl. I'm finishing it up because I just well, the Westnitz Mystery Yarn Along's coming up. I got my kit today. So I'm looking forward to that. I got black and white and hot pink. But I'm finishing this up. Also got to make room on my knitting needles for all those shawls I got to knit for the fundraiser. 3 people have claimed shawls so far. There's still 7 slots open to get yourself a custom hand knit shawl from me. Now you got to understand, if you go for the shawl, it's going to take a minute. These things take me I've been working on this shawl since May. These things take me between, if I'm working on it consistently, like 4 to 6 weeks per shawl, like, if I'm working on it consistently. Am I reading from a script? No, never do. Never unlike the conservative grifters that make this their living, I do not ever have a script for anything. So, no, I'm not reading from a script. Um, cool TPS. I appreciate that. Listen, I don't care if people disagree with me. It makes absolutely no difference to me at all if people disagree with me. Um, what does make a difference to me is if people are dicks. So you are welcome to disagree with me to your heart's content. Just don't be a dick. That's all I ask. That's all I ask. All right, I can't hear the sound, and that's concerning to me. But I don't know if it's just because they haven't started the sound yet. It might just be because they were finagling about. All right, well, it still looks like they're messing around. We still got a couple. Well, we got about 1 minute left. Okay, guys, get ready for Socialism Saturday. I don't know if anyone watched Trump's speech earlier. I watched a little bit of Trump's speech from the rally. It's like typical stuff. He's not saying anything that I hadn't heard before, to be honest. And like I said, guys, if you're not one of the conservatives that's been trying to cancel me for a year and a half, I'm not shit talking you. Yeah, rules of the chat. Don't be a dick. That's it. Don't be a dick. Why can't I hear this? I could hear it a second ago. Well, hopefully they turn on the sound soon. This has got to be. Why are they having a keynote at 9 o'clock at night? This makes, or I guess it's 8 o'clock their time, but still, this makes no sense to me. Just so you guys know, even though these people hate capitalism, oh, look at all those people disobeying masking rules. How dare they? Even though these people hate capitalism, they have all paid a $150 ticket to the conference to be here. I feel like we're on a spy cam. Sitting right next to each other, just like they're on an airplane, but they got their mask on. So I'm sure it's fine. But look at them. Do you see any color like in their clothes? They really do all wear like doesn't it feel like this has like a veil of like olive drab over it? I'm hanging in there, John. I'm good. Good. No. Not even you, bot, can be a dick in the chat. That guy does have yellow hair. You're right. You're right. He does. All right, I'm looking forward to a spicy chat tonight. You can be spicy towards the people on the video. You just can't be dickish to me or other people in the chat. That's the rule. The no dick rule doesn't just apply to me. Don't be dicks to other people in the chat either. We want to make this a nice environment, okay? But I do expect a spicy chat tonight because it's Saturday evening. I want to hear some socialist shit talking like you've never done before. No, I will not get drunk tonight. I don't have enough beer. I should have gotten a pumpkin. Huh. Maybe I'll ask Victor to bring me up a pumpkin. But no, I got my cider. I'm not going to get drunk tonight. Placebo mask effect security blanket for their brain. Now, I'm not sure I can say that on YouTube. I think they changed their rules, but we're just going to be careful and say, of course, masks are 100% effective, Savrits. They're absolutely effective at preventing COVID-19. I don't know what you're talking about with that super chat. Just to be on the safe side. That's all I'm saying. I already got a strike on my channel. Don't need a second one. Don't need a second one. Yes, bot, if you cross the dick line, I will give you a warning. Bot has earned her warning. Not everyone gets a warning, just to be clear. Bot has earned her warning through service to the cult, okay? Oh, there's the sound. Oh, thank God. Okay, the sound is on. I was about to get, like, nervous. Yeah, well, if a leftist comes in the chat or, like, a socialist, you're allowed to be a dick to them. I can change the rules, my chat. Like, you're allowed to be dicks to people I say you can be dicks to, but in general, don't be rude to other people in the chat, please. Ooh, we're gonna hear some chanting. No, they're actually at a really expensive conference center. They're at McCormick Place in Chicago, which is very big and very expensive. I've actually presented there before, so I know exactly where they are. Here, let me get this in full screen mode. Oh, I never talked about comparing this with CPAC earlier. I need to do that. It does feel like we're watching via a spy cam, doesn't it? With, like, you can see the lens they used is not really, like, they don't have it set up completely right. It looks like we're watching through, like, a pinhole. I'm not sure what they're saying. Something, 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 yes we can. Here, let me make sure closed caption is on. It is on. Closed caption is on. Look, even the sign language interpreter is not having it. Guys,
welcome, comrades.
Welcome, comrades. Mount that like button, comrades.
Welcome to this evening's plenary of Socialism 2022. It is so great to see all of us in one room for the first time this weekend. Give yourselves a big round of applause.
Yeah, they have to turn the captioning on their end, but I do have it on. So if the captioning starts,
I'm a member of Tempest Collective. I work with Haymarket Books. I'll be chairing this session tonight. Before I introduce our speaker, I want to say a few words about Haymarket and share some housekeeping
The atheists have become zealots. You're right,
Haymarket, which is the lead organizer of the conference this weekend, along with many amazing organizations, which you can see at the back of the printed program, is a publisher of radical books, many of which are featured in the Haymarket Books room, pop-up bookstore that we have in Prairie.
Tim Pool is wrong. Tim Pool does not talk to normal people. Tim Pool lives in his little compound and doesn't ever interact with real people in the real world.
You may also know Haymarket.
Tim Pool is absolutely incorrect about who's winning. And I know that. Here's how I know that Tim Pool is incorrect. Because what these people were saying 5 years ago is on CNN today.
Many readers, our book club subscribers, and all the people who volunteer.
Tim Pool doesn't know that because he doesn't spend time watching this. And then and not saying he should necessarily, because not everyone needs to be this crazy. But these people are winning the culture war.
Special shout out to Josh Karpoff and the AV team. People who are doing our live streaming this weekend. The Union Hotel
I've never been on his show. And I'm never going to be on his show. I've never been on his show, and I'm never going to be on his show, and everyone needs to come around to that idea. Sorry to disappoint. No, 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 no. No, 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 no,
I want to mention a couple
no,
ways
no,
you all
no.
can support Haymarket. One is to become a book club member. We have different tiers. Check it out.
I think that Tim is very in touch with some things. I think he is very wrong on this. I think it's more like what he wants to have happen than being actually in tune with what's going on. So yeah, I think in this area, I do think he's out of touch. That's not to say I think he's wrong on everything, because I don't. But I don't think he's correct about this.
If you're on social media, please follow us and please share information about our books and our authors. Also, I want to say that right now, supporting your local library and your local indie bookstore is more important than ever, especially at this moment when books are being banned.
I'm glad to see you back, Islam is the cult. I don't agree with your handle, but I'm glad to see you back, even though you said you weren't going to watch stuff earlier.
Neo-fascists.
It's good to watch things.
It's good to understand things. Consider teaching our books. We also offer really
if you are a teacher, please consider teaching our socialism books to your students. That's what they just said.
And in your organizing work. And with your support, we also send free copies to anyone who is incarcerated who wants any Haymarket title. We want to take a moment to
I know it was long, but I'm glad you're back. I'm glad you made it and you're in the game. I'm glad I'm surprised is all. Like, so I'm glad. Welcome. I hope you stay a while. You don't have to watch everything, but
many of us at this conference, a friend and comrade and collaborator,
a comrade
in this room.
I don't know who.
And we're deeply grateful for her solidarity with Haymarket over the years, her work, and her many contributions to our struggle. You will also see in your program a special acknowledgement to someone in the Haymarket family we lost recently, J. Patrick Lannon Jr., a longtime supporter of this conference, of Haymarket Books, of Haymarket House, and a true comrade.
A true comrade. I'm going to call my cult comrades.
I really would like to remind people of our COVID policy.
You're all comrades now.
Making this a successful
KARM.
conference. Socialism 22 staff and organizers are committed to keeping the conference a safe and responsible gathering. For that reason, masks are required of all attendees while indoors in conference spaces, including hallways and meeting rooms. Speakers from the front of sessions may remove their masks in order to deliver their presentations, but only while actually speaking. And audience members are still required to wear masks even while asking questions or making comments. The mask policy is in place to protect all of us, especially the immunocompromised, from the risk of contracting COVID-19. So thank you, comrades, for supporting that policy and making this possible for us to be together in a space and organize together. The other announcement I want to make is that I mentioned the Haymarket Books Room. Every Haymarket book is 30% off, so automatically.
They don't hate capitalism now, do they?
Any Haymarket title will have that discount.
Any plans to discuss Ukraine? Need reputable info.
Now, it's a great privilege
I find it very depressing to discuss Ukraine, to be honest. But the struggle is real, PPS, and I appreciate you asking. Capitalism is the devil until we need to sell our books.
The title of this conference is Change Everything, a phrase from Dr. Gilmore that brilliantly articulates the vision that animates Haymarket.
That's sound on their end, not on mine.
And the horizon we should all be collectively setting.
That's on their end, not on mine, if you're hearing
Thank you,
crackle.
For letting us use your words.
It's on their end, not mine, sorry.
To write this introduction, I asked for some help from Naomi Murakawa, who edits the Abolitionist Papers series for Haymarket. But she wrote a document that was 5,000 words long with footnotes and a bit longer than I think Dr. Gilmore's actual talk will be. So I'm going to share a very abridged version. Dr. Gilmore is co-founder of many organizations, including California Prison Moratorium Project, Critical Resistance, and the Central California Environmental Justice Network. And she's professor of Earth and Environmental Sciences at CUNY Graduate Center.
CUNY! This is the second CUNY person we've seen. CUNY is the City University of New York.
Prisons, Surplus, Crisis, and Opposition in Globalizing California, a brilliant study that locates prisons as the foundation of a new kind of state, the anti-state state, where elites dismiss the idea that government can or should guarantee social well-being. In her work, Gilmore illuminates, to quote her essential 2015 essay, the worrying
I can't do the talk tonight, Savrats. I'm sorry. I've already streamed for like 4 hours earlier today, but I appreciate it. George says, I think Carlads sounds
where
better.
The struggle against group differentiated
we'll have to wordsmith it, George. I appreciate it.
Is waged in every milieu. Environmental degradation, public goods withdrawal,
anytime you hear them say the word critical, think critical theory, critical race theory, critical gender theory, critical queer theory, all the criticals. Same thing.
Dr. Gilmore has also told us that abolition is life in rehearsal, which inspired the title of a brilliant book of letters between Robin Maynard and Leanne Simpson, Rehearsals for Living, published by Haymarket. The book features a foreword by Dr. Gilmore and an afterword by Robin D.G. Kelly. And Robin, Leanne, and Robin will all be speaking at the conference tomorrow, so check out their sessions. Dr. Gilmore's newest book, published by Verso, is Abolition Geography, Essays Towards Liberation. And her book, Change Everything, Racial Capitalism and the Case for Abolition, is forthcoming from Haymarket. Dr. Gilmore will be signing Abolition Geography, which everyone here should read, study, and buy.
Abolition Geography.
And study. And the classic Golden Gulag, which everyone here should read, study, and buy for others to study in this room after the conclusion of her remarks. And I'll say later how we're going to organize that signing. But now, please join me in welcoming Dr. Ruth Wilson Gilmore.
Welcome, comrade.
Wow. Good evening, socialism. Good evening, everybody in the room. Good evening to those who are joining us via the interwebs. I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to share some thoughts this evening with everybody. Thanks to Anthony Arnold, my dear friend and comrade, and everyone who organized this magnificent conference. In the past, I spent quite a bit of time in these environs, not the hotel so much, but at the conference center as a bookseller groupie. And that's how I got to know Anthony like 25 years ago. I also want to thank 3 interlocutors who made such an enormous difference in everything I think, and certainly the things I'm going to talk about tonight. And they are Naomi Morikawa.
Remember, guys, as she's doing her intro, I want to see some spice in the chat tonight. I will display things that are extra spicy on the screen, but not spice directed at me and not spice directed at anyone else in the chat. At the socialists. These are the real socialists. Not the CNN is not real socialism. These are the socialists.
Is for my beloved friend, comrade, mentor, teacher, goad, Mike Davis.
I want to see some spice tonight. I believe in all of you.
Okay, here we go. Maybe I'll shed some layers as I warm up. All right. These remarks, typical of my episodic method, are intended as provocation to incite more thinking through action, more noticing as we purposefully move. About a century ago, somebody asked Lenin how he thought the Russian Revolution could maintain itself. Remember
She's
what
quoting
he said?
Lenin.
Hector knows. The Soviets plus electricity. Organizationally and materially, the power came from energy that was and is itself variably derived.
She's quoting Lenin.
Abolition is, energetically, life in rehearsal. To make life requires the means of production and reproduction, seized or bent by purposeful political energy that concentrates as and through creative aggression or action at multiple scales. The forms of concentration connect modes of noticing with modes of doing towards goals that open the future through provisionally securing the present, even in the form of combat. So
Even in the form of combat.
is that abolition is small c communism, comprised of an accumulating cast of protagonists like us.
That's a good definition. Abolition is small c
Capitalism
communism.
requires inequality, and racism enshrines it. Is racism capitalism's only shrine? Of course not. But for the polytheism of
Sound on
capitalist
their end, not
growth
mine.
and appropriation of surplus, the altar of racism never lacks for human sacrifice.
That's on their end, it's not on mine.
English mining engineer said of Wales workers in 1842, quote, "Our peculiar race of pitmen can only be kept up
They'll
by
fix it.
breeding.
They always do.
It never
I told you
should
this
be
was gonna happen.
recruited from an adult population.
What the fuck?
If race is the modality through which classes lived,
I think they just
then
fixed it.
mass criminalization is class war."
Ah!
Tax struggle is the oldest form of class struggle. In the USA context, some people who write on mass incarceration poo-poo the problem, saying the prison industrial complex isn't
Oh
big
my
enough
god, these
to
people.
warrant such attention, even if it is a murderous pit of human destruction.
At least we
Others,
have the captions,
to
guys.
make their name, proclaim the USA PIC to be the biggest everything, and then wring their hands over history's victims in articles, special journal issues, and sober meetings of experts. Neither extreme attends very well to the forces of organized abandonment and organized violence that in the present conjuncture guide or contour the circular and cumulative causation that differentially characterizes the criminalizing aspects of capitalism, saving capitalism from capitalism. We could look at any number of charts and graphs: productivity in relation to wages, profit in relation to wages, taxes paid in relation to profit and wages, inequality on a planetary scale. And we are compelled to ask ourselves, what keeps that divergence steady and relatively secure? The starkness demands we look for the iron fist, and we find it. Beyond punishing the poor, it punishes and is celebrated for doing so. Let me acknowledge here some people whose work is magnificent in this area: Angela Y. Davis, Beth Ritchie, Erica Miners, Robin Maynard, and Leanne Simpson, Judith Shept, Emily Tuma, Orasanmi Burton, and a bunch of my current and former students, including Jack Norton and Lydia Pello-Hobbs. Out of the rubble of organized abandonment of the welfare state, the transition, as I've been calling it for 25 or more years, from military Keynesianism to post-Keynesian militarism, we've seen the rise of the anti-state state with fascist characteristics, which might sound odd to scholars of fascism, but I actually don't think it's so odd. Underlying this motion in the USA and abroad is struggle over the territory and function of the state at all scales, fought out in streets, courts, cop cars, documents, denationalization, deportation, prisons, jails, households, civil injunctions, expulsion, exclusion, detention. People become houseless, workless, unable to stay put or move around. We can notice evidence of what I'm discussing wherever inequality is deepest.
If you can't
The
understand
USA,
her, just keep listening.
India, for example,
meant
the
to be confusing.
denationalization of some peoples from the state of
It'll become
assault.
clear at some point.
China, Uyghurs, and others. Israel, Palestinians, and long-distance migrants. Dominican Republic, people of Haitian descent. United Kingdom, people of Jamaican parentage, but not only. Brazil, indigenous and Afro-descendant and others.
Judy, you're
South
listening,
Africa,
Spices.
long-distance migrants from Congo and frontline states. We can see it. Capitalism, saving capitalism from capitalism. Is my timing okay for you? Yeah?
It's meant to be confusing because they're
Returning
speaking
our
a different
focus
language
to the
to
USA
confuse
for
people
now.
who aren't in their club.
Along the period of the growth and consolidation of criminalization as
This is a community that has their own language.
We can also trace the rise
But you can
of
learn their
jobs
language.
characterized by guard duty responsibilities.
But the confusing is
Even
intentional.
if the jobs are not guard jobs, straightforwardly. Samuel Bowles and some of his colleagues have been writing about this, started writing about this in the 1980s.
What it is
Let's
it's like
pause
looking
here
into the matrix and all you
and
see is
consider the
numbers and
facts
gibberish,
of
but
the
at some
case
point
that led to
you
George
start to see
Floyd's
structure
murder.
to the numbers and
That
gibberish.
chain of
But you just gotta let
events
it flow
culminating
for a
in
while.
Human sacrifice. George Floyd was a long-distance migrant.
Here we go.
Texas to Minneapolis, the destination of many people currently caught in the constellation of detention centers the USA has outsourced to Mexico, Guatemala, along Central America's Atlantic seaboard and beyond. George Floyd, one day, his last day, went to a shop to get some cigarettes. The shop worker, a young person from the neighborhood, which was underserved for adequate nutrition at decent prices, called the police.
How much you want to bet
when
she's
he
not going to
judged
mention the
The
fentanyl?
$20 bill handed to him was strange. Why did he call the police? Because he had to. Why did he have to? Because the shop owner, I believe Palestinian American, had to agree to this uncompensated police work and compel his workers to do this uncompensated police work as a condition of his license to have a shop. Anyone here or listening who has formal employment in the USA has been subjected in some way to this kind of expectation as training, even if the rubric presents as workplace safety. For plenty of reading on safety and protection from harm, see Mariam Kaba, Everything, Davis Stent Miners and Ritchie, Everything. Mariam Kaba, Everything.
Just
Davis
read
Stent,
everything. That's
Miners
it.
and
Just
Ritchie,
read everything.
Abolition Feminism, the Storytelling Organizing Project Online, Any Harm Reduction Coalition Gathering, and so on. So the cops came. They attacked George Floyd. One of them squeezed the life from him as he said, "I can't breathe," and cried for his mother. Human sacrifice.
Human sacrifice?
When I had the honor to offer the first George Floyd lecture in Houston last spring, I showed a bunch of slides. Murals from around the planet.
I don't think what happened to George Floyd was good by any means. I think it was bad, but
image with a number of other
human
symbolic
sacrifice,
elements
really,
that suggested solidifying consciousness of a fragile but real internationalist character. I showed those slides, Pakistan, Kenya, the UK, Brazil, many places. I showed those slides along with data slides, social science slides, showing the rise of inequality, the rise of mass incarceration, and so on. In the Q&A, family and community members were really eager to discuss the data slides. I didn't have to say twice that the murals and the data slides were two modes of depicting the same vulnerabilities and contradictions.
Just so you guys know, you're not going to convince me that that cop was innocent
As I just said,
either.
the evidence
I don't think he
of
was. I think he should have been found guilty.
of a fragile but
I agreed
real
with that verdict, so.
internationalist character is hovering and can be summoned to debate and thence to action. Here's another case. Arising from consideration of what guard duty holds steady and steadily apart. This time, the story is from Hunts Point, the Bronx. I'm grateful to 4 of my former students, Liz Carlin, Allison Guest, Rocky Kawada, and Robin McGinty, for research they did on this site for a studio course on policing.
Well, no, the
I
fact
taught
that
a
he
few
put
years
his
ago.
knee on someone's neck
Hunts
for
Point
several
is in the
minutes while he
Bronx.
died ensured that he
In
wasn't
the
going to get
poorest
acquitted.
or sometimes
Just,
second poorest congressional
just to be
district
clear,
in the United States.
that cop didn't need to handle that
There's
that way.
a food distribution center, municipally owned, that runs several billions of dollars of food through it each year. Enough food to land in 1 of 5 households. It has an elaborate infrastructure. Across the way from this vast food distribution center live poor people who might be descendants of Bronx denizens who didn't get burned out by the landlord fires of the 1980s, or might be new or newer immigrants from Salvador, Bangladesh, Ghana, Dominican Republics, and sometimes even still Puerto Rico in the US South. Their neighborhood
Immigrants from the
is
South?
a so-called food desert, or in Karen Washington's better term, they suffer from food apartheid. Nobody in the neighborhood can go into this big distribution market, which has minimally 3 layers of police presence. The layers of police presence are to keep people out. It also has lines of delivery trucks idling their engines while they wait to on or offload products. Food regulation reasonably requires comestibles to be kept within particular temperature ranges, the chain of custody so prominent in criminal cases reflected in this chain too. So the trucks never cut their engines. The drivers, mostly not organized, though this has been changing, often are possibly subject to criminalization and deportation because of visa or other vulnerabilities. It can't be a surprise that asthma is rampant in the community, where hospitals struggle to keep up with patients whose only recourse to healthcare tends to be by way of the emergency room. In this context, policing is heavy, arrests are frequent, household disruption is common, other arms of the state roll in to seize children, see Dorothy Roberts, or externalize the cost of imprisonment and guarding to households, see Vicky Law and Maya Shenwar, and also James.
You know what's striking to me is like she's rattling stuff off while providing
People
no proof, but
at
she's
the
giving these
subnational
sources
and
to make it seem like she
international
has
levels
proof.
against organized abandonment.
But if you
Seizing
check those
or
sources, I bet they don't have proof
operationalizing
either.
through organizational capacity,
They're also just people who
including
pontificated.
states, Barcelona, Kerala, Cooperation Jackson, libraries for information and meeting and research. And
Just
by the
because
way,
you
one
cite
of us
someone
is
doesn't mean
the
that's like a
president
valid
of the
citation
American
is
Library
proof or
Association
evidence.
this
It's
year.
not.
It's ours.
It might be, but it's
Season.
not on face of it.
The great Emily Drabinsky. So libraries, unions, social movements like the MST and the shack dwellers movement or Abalali Basement Dojo, etc. A dramatic percentage of people in prison, whatever they've been sent there for, suffer from asthma. Children, not incarcerated, die of something that better resourced families can manage or avert.
Is there a mass
In urban
like
and
amount
rural
of children
contexts,
dying of
childhood
asthma?
asthma and
Why isn't
also
this on the
debilitating
news?
adult asthma shrinks possibilities for well-being and shortens lives. On a world scale,
Is this like a mass epidemic
according
of
to
deaths of
recent
asthma?
research, deaths from asthma significantly overshadow COVID, while COVID exacerbates
apparently there are.
asthmatics' vulnerability to premature death. What might some incipient organizational forms combating this scourge look
Yeah?
like?
Yeah? Probably.
Here are a couple of examples.
This is why we watch this stuff.
The
They'll
late,
tell you what
great
they're
Michael
doing. You just have to
Zimzum,
listen.
who was a friend of Mike Davis's and mine, well known to many others, was a cop fighter in the Black Panther Party for self-defense. And I mean, he fought cops in the streets. I don't mean he talked about fighting cops. He lost an eye fighting cops. And imagine this, The civil settlement for his injury enabled him to establish a site in South Central Los Angeles, the Coalition Against Police Abuse, where people could, and likely still do, go to report police brutality and other wrongs wreaked by organized violence on individuals and communities. Michael Zinzin thought a lot over time about what survival pending revolution, what the Panthers were doing, what survival pending revolution should be. He noticed the prevalence of especially childhood asthma in the community, and he studied to find out what its causes might be. One is exposure to vermin feces, roach, mouse, and rat shit. Another to pesticides used to slay the roaches, mice, and rats. He embarked on a project in the public housing projects to get people to learn about the peril, and through it organized tenant movements to demand landlords, sometimes the city, sometimes other entities, correct problems. And that movement spread actually from South Central Los Angeles all the way to Brazil. Not far away, around the same time that Zinzin started his work, the mothers of East Los Angeles,
I want you to listen to how they're doing things and how this is a small group of people.
So do not troll.
This is a small group of people. And they're spreading this shit all over the place.
Mary Pardo's written a great book about this. These people
there aren't that many of them.
Organized to prevent the state of California from building a new prison in their neighborhood.
Because they're focused.
Remarkably,
they're
in the
organizing.
early 1980s, so the period right before my book begins, they succeeded.
And they're actually going out and doing
the aftermath
a very
of
small amount of people can change the world, guys.
Siting of new prisons in rural rather than urban communities.
And we can use their strategies against them.
They also wondered why the government of the state of California had been convinced their kids would populate this proposed prison. Having learned a bit about the life paths of people who became locked up, the mothers determined a contributing factor was that people missed school. Now, no, their husbands had jobs. They lived in public housing. Their lives were relatively stable and secure. But this loomed, this worry. So they further learned that the most prevalent cause for kids to miss school was asthma. They learned why and found the proximity of their houses to the highways where nonstop trucks drive products from factory and harbor to the Inland Empire and across the United States day and night was the cause, the probable major cause of this asthma. So they fought to relieve some of that exposure. Though there's more to be done on different scales, we can find similarly motivated people in the UK, in Indonesia, in Singapore, in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and so forth. Sometimes small formations, sometimes bigger, like the MST. Coordinating the struggle against dispossession by way of hailing the energy and commitments of vulnerable people for whom an illness, or a bite to eat, or a puzzling tragedy compels sustained creative aggression. And that's what we're about, sustained creative aggression. At the front lines, nurses and other health care providers experience in the workplace the devastations of this and many other illnesses, and fight through their unions to secure conditions for patients to have excellent and free medical care. The National Nurses Union, which I've been doing political workshops with for a few years now, is an exemplary case. I think the curiosity that compels the nurses as an organization to explore structural contradictions that produce patients they're not able adequately to care for, the cost of care and the location of hospitals being two major factors, derives in part from some of the interlocking structural contradictions that push and pull the nurses to ply their trade how and where they do. You follow that? Great. Every job that a nurse does in a hospital is at a particular
Sound on there and not on mine.
which, as anyone who is a union organizer knows, is the required site for creating unions and bargaining for better wages and benefits
God damn
and
it.
working conditions. But at the same time, many of those establishments are owned by multinational firms, such as Hospital Corporation of America, or would-be competitors, wholly owned subsidiaries of universities, or under-resourced public trusts, whether fragmented like the UK National Health Service or otherwise. Therefore, the union struggle aims at once at the local, above all at the firm superior Therefore, the union struggle aims at once at the local, then above at the firm superior institution level, and at the public purse, the social wage. Remember, class struggle is the oldest form of class struggle.
Why does socialism ruin everything?
Many nurses in the USA and elsewhere are themselves long-distance
Oh my God.
migrants.
This sound
Becky
issue
Choi
is
wrote the
killing me.
best book about Filipino nurses in the Empire of Care, who are entailed by the systemic necessity for money income to circulate as remittances. Not quite forced migration, but not forced either. You can turn to the work of people like Titi Bhattacharya, Gargi Bhattacharya.
They are communist
Cindy
microphones,
Katz,
Mike.
Goff, among
They
others,
are,
and more.
literally.
The variety of, as it were, zones of struggle in this example gives us some insights, not only into the multiple scales of activity any given nurse might be involved in at any moment, but also glimpses into densely peopled, stretched spaces where political antagonism and purposeful activism unfold and extend. I'm reminded here of another context in which the fabulously creative and successful struggle by Justice for Janitors against outsourcing and wage theft by Los Angeles hotels and restaurants in the early 1990s prompted a cadre of Sandinistas visiting to build solidarity to ask the Justice for Janitors leadership, A, who used to do the jobs you're doing now, and B, who might travel
Thank you,
the
Christy.
migration
I
path
appreciate
to
it.
join you. This prompted new rounds of outreach and activity on the part of JFJ, which I wish the late
noise
David
is so
Koch,
loud in my
organizer and
headphones.
filmmaker, who had documented as brilliantly as he and his partner Lucindo Munyapembe documented in their struggle against racism and class war in Black Britannica, that magisterial film from a generation earlier.
Thank you, bot. I appreciate it.
The pandemic in particular and environmental upheaval in general, including climate change, articulate vulnerability in forms of struggle that include direct action, no less than appeals to the state or to capital. For example, a Latin America-based global group fighting vaccine apartheid
Vaccine
includes
apartheid?
in its direct action agenda manufacturing the vaccine without going through the labyrinthine and often futile process of obtaining an intellectual property waiver.
Vaccine
That's direct
apartheid.
action. So, going in the streets, direct action. Chaining yourself to something, direct action. Making the vaccine, direct action. And I want to make a remark about intellectual property here. And yes, I sell my books. And also, yes, way more people have read my books than will ever send me a dime of royalty. That's the way it is, and I like it. And yes, I hope they use what they learn, all of the above. Okay. The case of direct action against vaccine apartheid reminds us how prevalent criminalization is in all aspects of everyday capitalist life. Certainly, vulnerability is spatially differentiated, but not in the knee-jerk way many, including many well-meaning people on the left who are based in the global north, say it is. You know what I'm talking about? Africa. The confusion of group differentiated vulnerability to premature death, producing racism, on the one hand, And the ascription of likelihood of premature death to a continent called Africa is the kind of absurdity that people are constantly trying to fight our way through. Abolition builds from already existing activities, such as quite elaborately modest rural healthcare clinics in Nigeria, or the remnants of the
Oh my God!
as nodal, if not infrastructurally robust centers,
At least it's keeping me
where people can
awake.
share knowledge about how to secure relatively safety with modest resources. So that explains in part why everybody's dire prediction that Africa, in scare quotes, was about to die because of COVID did not exactly come true, nor should anybody have thought it would come true. That said, a Scandinavian research group intended to turn Guinea-Bissau into a natural experiment on the usefulness of masking. So their plan was to go to Guinea-Bissau, where they imagined nobody knew anything about masking, and give 30,000 people masks and tell another 30,000 people to wash their hands, and then see what the relative death rates were. That was their plan until many of us who read their plan in a medical journal raised the alarm to get them thrown out of the country, and they were.
Oh my God.
Meanwhile, in the richest country on earth, urban and rural abandonment takes a hefty toll.
See,
In
the
one
solace
case,
we
and
can take
likely
from the
more,
sound issues is
a
that it's
city
happening on
murder
their
rate
YouTube channel.
that had been steadily dropping through the 1990s suddenly spiked when a trauma center nearest places where people were in the habit of using violence as speech suddenly closed. Murder rate went up. Rural abandonment is equally stark. Consider, for example, South Dakota. Inpatient care facilities in the state are gone throughout rural South Dakota.
Yes, this is live.
Look on any map.
This
They're
is
not
happening
there.
right now in Chicago.
Meanwhile, a big, long-standing chunk of the state's economic activity is financial services, mainly, principally, until recently, back office credit card processing, due to the fact that the state changed its usury laws almost 2 generations ago, and that 25% on credit card debt, that was wholly the brainchild of some energetic vultures based in South Dakota. At the same time that all of this is happening, the USA has become second only to the Cayman Islands as an offshore wealth hiding place. And South Dakota is first in the ranks of US places where the oligarchs stash their loot. This is happening on Native Americans' unceded or treaty-abused territory, where people's many struggles over the entire longue durée of settler colonialism includes the high-profile life or death water protector occupations and blockades. The region stretching across the Canadian border from South Dakota north overlies one of the planet's most significant watersheds. Nick Estes' work and the Red Deal book are sources where you can learn more about the significance and strategies of this form of creative aggression. Sarah Knopf is here and she knows a lot about it too. Land and water grabs characterize a good deal of dispossession on the planet's surface.
I'm falling asleep.
Meanwhile,
I don't know about anyone else.
The proliferation of guard
This is their
duty
big event,
into all
guys.
sorts of employments, automated as well as subjective, i.e. a human in it.
These people are winning. These people are beating us.
And the force of that duty to
I can't
produce
with this.
disorder,
This is unacceptable.
from pushing people off the land to
It
depriving
is
them of water,
completely
to the heavy
unacceptable
carbon footprint of
that these people are
militarized
beating us.
activity, sparks organizing.
Thank you for the super chat, Tom J. I appreciate it.
As well as
I think you're right that they're winning more than the right. Conservatives have become cowards and let the libs/woke guilt them from compromising their values and removing politics from the church and social orders and standards. That's exactly right, Tom J. I'm going to leave that up for a second because you're 100% correct about that.
Movement organizing while elsewhere,
I think they're
left
going to get to a
governments,
Q&A session, guys, and the
however
Q&A is where
insecure,
most
have
of the
gathered
spices happen in
enthusiasm
these.
and energy of people in Bolivia and Colombia and Chile, among other places. In Brazil, most land occupations and cultivation of organic rice creates good friction that helps provisionally to interrupt criminalization as well as to interrupt hunger, as pesticide-induced asthma and other illnesses subside as well. The Via Campesino and other transnational organizations condense their energy to shift the balance of power in agriculture, a gargantuan task if ever there were one. There are 4 firms, really almost 5, that dominate the circulation of comestibles, from palm oil to avocados to wheat to tomato paste to everything. So that's the ABCD plus one more firm that's been coming for a long time from China. But if we look from below, however, we see that 70% of the nearly 2 billion people who work in agriculture work for small producers. A contradiction MST and other agrarian-based organizations, including unions and parties, exploit in the face of organized violence and criminalization. So there are all these possibilities that have actually been energized into solidarity and alternative strategies for making sure that people have access to adequate and nutritious food. Some relative successes are cause for optimism, and I can mention it because it makes my heart sing. Colombia, Chile, Barcelona, Cooperation Jackson, Kerala. The Los Angeles City Council has 2 abolitionist members. They were elected, different times, elected as a result of the more than 20-year-long fight to stop a pair of multi-billion-dollar counting.
God! Oh my God!
And the key here is as a result of the jail stuff. The elected members weren't around at the beginning of the abolition fight of the campaigns, but came of political age working it. What was it? Always the same.
Shut up, bot.
People in unions, including the building trades, faith communities, housing insecure people, public transportation users, students and teachers, people affected by asthma and other debilitating illnesses.
This is all because some idiot running their fucking recording is on his cell phone checking Twitter.
We won first. Then the candidates won, meaning abolition was the ground on which the solidarity arose, rather than victory happened in spite of abolition.
Every time they say abolition, you need to think communism. That's the definition she gave it earlier, communism. Oh, see, they alerted this guy. They're like, something's going on with the sound. Oh! They just killed their own sound! Oh, wait, oh,
Of course. Indeed.
Okay, they may have fixed something. Let's cross our fingers that they fixed the problem.
Of course, indeed, in other words, right? The ground game isn't unique to abolition.
It does sound better now, whatever they did. It does sound better.
These elements that I laid out, anybody could use to produce a variety of outcomes. The ground game isn't unique to abolition, but rather a necessary component of it. Indeed, something else we won in California,
the ground game is necessary for communism,
was a dramatic reduction in the number of people in prison and jail. Again, a struggle over a long period. We made an abolition geography that materialized as the previous Supreme Court of the United States, when Scalia was still alive, agreeing that California could not build its way out of the aggrandizing prison system that, among other harms, was so deadly that a prisoner every week died for decades, because of medical problems that could have been addressed. That's what premature death is, no matter how old you are. There's a problem that can be addressed, whether it's medical or changing the light bulb in the stairwell of an apartment so a little old lady like me doesn't fall to her death, or something in between. All of this, as well as death of young people, is premature death.
Yeah, this is not true. I have a friend that went to jail for a crime he didn't commit. This is not true. And conservatives should stop telling this lie. This is not true.
All right.
Innocent people go to jail all the time. All the time.
State-sanctioned and or extra-legal production and exploitation of group-differentiated vulnerability to premature death. So this can be by the state, by landlords. It's that mining engineer who talked about the race of pitmen in Wales in the 19th century. Quite varied. That mouthful.
It's amazing to me that conservatives can still say this.
Appears on placards outside courthouses
when all of their people are getting convicted for January 6th and have been sitting in jail for over almost 2 years now for January 6th.
Where you might wonder, so
and
why
you still think that if you just don't do anything wrong, you won't end up in jail? What about the January 6th defendants? Do you think the January 6th defendants are the first group of people that has ever happened to? Because no, they're not.
It's a framework. It's an analytical framework that is always open to being made better, stronger, which is to say more.
He's over on Facebook, bot. I'm streaming on Facebook now too.
But at the moment, this is why. The combination of organized abandonment and organized violence in the current conjuncture summarizes capitalism, saving capitalism from capitalism. For the historical actors,
no, he's on Facebook. You're good.
Whom I've briefly described, the pattern
I like Mike, but he's wrong on this one.
Against which they struggle, and that they sometimes reconfigure successfully, also pattern the vulnerability that organized violence arms and aggrandizes to contain.
They whine and cry and complain and lie all the time and are no better than the woke left. And they should be better.
They should know better. The 1798 establishment
much worse than the woke
Thames
left.
Valley Police Force on the docks in London, established to ensure that the fruits of enslaved people's labor en route from the Americas to the satanic mills of the UK Midlands would not be reduced by the customary compensation that dock workers had been authorized to give themselves until the 18th century. Taking this a step further, the visceral and methodical steps that organized abandonment follows, all of which can be studied rather than all of which follow a meta plan. So you have to learn how organized abandonment works in a particular situation, but you'll find it. I assure you. The visceral and methodical steps that organized abandonment follows spark people's political imagination.
Yeah, these educated idiots are winning.
Aggression and collective successes.
They're winning.
On that spark.
So what they're doing is working.
Everyone is inside history.
So perhaps
here.
we shouldn't be so quick to dismiss
and those
them.
Formally entailed
because
by
they're winning and have been for decades.
Are one step from
they're kicking all of our asses.
In the way that
they are driving the culture. They are winning in politics. Their ideas are being spouted from every major institution in this country, and it all comes from them.
Labor forces.
They're winning. They control every institution in this country. They control the universities. They control the public schools. They control the media. They control the government.
Whether or not they were ever locked up, or they want to dismiss them to work because of visa.
They're kicking all your asses.
So most of that number is the former, and then about another 5 million are the latter.
And dismissing them is why they're winning. Thank you, Jack on Rockton, for that tip. I appreciate it.
Workforce. So we might ask ourselves, do they share all consciousness of their vulnerability as a class of a class? I doubt it. This group would necessarily be as riven as the other half by different understandings of their relationship to one another and the rest of the world. But The possibilities are there for organizing, whether through unions bringing such workers into the fold, or organizations of formerly incarcerated people and justice-impacted people making demands to ban the box that asks about arrests and convictions in the first place. And that latter, all of us or none, which I'm sure you're familiar with. Consider one last example. When we were organizing to stop a new prison in California, the last but one they ever opened, we did outreach in every possible way to find already organized people who might line up with us. So we wanted to find already organized people who might line up with us because we were like 6 people. So we couldn't cover too much territory. But we had to find them, which is to say, attract their imagination and their energy for creative aggression by making it clear that we weren't asking them to stop doing what they were doing, but rather to see what they were doing was connected to what we were up to.
No, they think they're losing. But they're still out
What
there
we
fighting.
Saw,
That's the most
if
ironic
not
thing
a
of all.
united front, was at
Because
least a
conservatives
popular
think they're
front.
winning,
So
and they
people
don't
we
do anything.
reached out to included,
These
and
people think they're
organized with
losing
included unions,
when they're actually the
faith
ones winning.
communities, regional
And they're still
water
out there
districts,
fighting every day.
sometimes newspaper editors,
Because they're focused
farm
on what the
workers
goal
not in
is.
unions, farm workers in unions, people who worked in the prison system, as teachers, secretaries, locksmiths, nurses, anything but guards. Colonias of long-distance migrants without papers working in agriculture, but perhaps not in unions. Biological diversity activists who don't much like humans. But enliven an urgent agenda to protect endangered species, and environmental justice activists. One of the EJ groups was a tiny organization, really 3 people in one family, but they called themselves something, and this is not a bad thing to do. They established themselves, who had come together to try to compel somebody with power and authority to put out a fire of about 4 million tires, a mountain of about 4 million tires piled near their town that had been burning for months and months and months and months and months and months and months. Their research included learning as much as possible from all of their neighbors about the effects of this noxious smoke. So they did a kind of community survey. Well, made a questionnaire and just asked everybody, door to door, so what's happening to you? And this started conversations going. And also, their research included to learn as well what could smother such a blaze. And you know how they found out how to put out such a blaze? By watching CNN, watching the Gulf War on TV. And they saw that the fires in the oil fields, they were put out, and they said if they could put that out, they can put the tire fire out. And then they pursued that. This organization and others took leadership in understanding how the prison constituted another locally unwanted land use that would harm vulnerable people without bringing peace to communities. So they didn't set themselves against the people.
They may be
who
retiring
would
now,
be
but they've
held
trained a
against
whole
their
new
will in
generation.
prison, but rather
And in the
found
time
a
that
way
they've trained
to
that whole
see
new
that their own
generation,
vulnerabilities
they've not
and
only taken over the
vulnerability, people would be
universities,
locked up
they've
in
also
communities
taken over the
that came
public
from,
schools. And now they're pushing that
particularly
indoctrination
connected,
down to elementary school.
spoke to one another.
People like this are controlling what your kids learn in public
They
schools
joined forces with us
because they
and
never
brought others
stopped.
in. We fought,
And they were
and we
dismissed
got in
every
the
step
way
of the
so
way.
long and
they
so
were
well
ignored.
that, as I said,
And people
the
didn't pay
Supreme Court of
attention,
the
and they
United
didn't
States
listen.
in 2011 told the
And
state
today,
of California it could
they
not
don't
go
just
its way
control the
out of
universities.
human sacrificial
They
mess
control the
that was
entire
in.
educational
And,
apparatus.
I tell you this story not to say, aha, we convinced the Supreme Court. That's not what we did. Like, lawyers went and argued before the courts and then took it to the next level, It took 30 years.
People like
for that
her
course lawsuit
are
finally to be
controlling
resolved. So people
what your
died
kids
over the 30
learn
years.
in
What
kindergarten.
we did was, from the ground up, aware of what the lawyers were doing, but not necessarily working hand in hand with them, we made an abolition geography in which it would become harder and harder, if not impossible, for the state of California or any locality to start the process of building a new prison. That's what we did, ground up. At the same time, because some people like to think that abolitionists just abandon people in prison. It's like, oh, when it gets really bad, they'll close them. At the same time, we worked tirelessly and successfully to reduce the number of people locked up, to get people released who suffered from debilitating conditions, eventually bringing the number of people in California prisons for women and prisons for men down to less than half of what the state's elaborate forecasting
$1,000 you can donate to the Indiegogo
said
campaign.
would be the case by the end of the first decade of
Not
the
joking.
century.
I don't like knitting meetings. But I'll knit you one if you donate $1,000 to the Indiegogo campaign. Yeah.
I knew I'd warm up.
I'll knit you a great beanie if you
A good
donate
deal of
$1,000
this
to the
work,
Indiegogo campaign.
Of course, necessarily involve people organizing themselves on the inside. Justice Now, organizations show. Justice Now is no longer active, but the effects, the remnants of that activity resonate through prison walls. In addition, there are many expressions of that success today in the form of, on the one hand, the remarkable sustained series of hunger strikes that an organizing committee, the Short Corridor Collective at Pelican Bay State Prison, in a prison, started shortly after the Supreme Court's decision around 2011, and eventually brought.
I have no idea what this woman's talking about. I really don't. Maybe I haven't been paying
in
attention.
terms
Maybe
of
I was distracted by the
convincing
noise.
state of California
But I
to give
truly
them
have
some
no idea what
relief
she's talking about. Does
from
anyone
their
understand what she's
permanent
saying?
sentences in the prison.
I know she's talking
within the
about prisons,
prison,
but like,
but rather success that they themselves crafted through debate and disagreement and finally solidarity.
so I've watched
to
a lot
put
of
out
this
a
stuff. I
call
still
to
get
all of
confused
their
too.
communities,
Yeah, it's all
black,
salad.
brown, yellow,
Can I
red,
see a
white,
chat of salad,
and the
please?
hostility among the races, which is where we're at now. And that agreement also shapes some of the work that people who are formerly incarcerated at Pelican Bay and elsewhere have put into forming free world organizations of people coming out of prison, going to university, organizations like the Underground Scholars and what's it called? Project Rebound, thank you, and others. Are Marilyn here? No, right? So all of this is part of this like ongoing abolition activity. The tire fire got put out, the prison system stopped its massive growth, but the anti-state state built on the foundations of mass incarceration and the forces of
Tom
organized
J,
violence.
these
can
are the results of
anticipate
communist
remarkable
seeds
new
planted by people
injections
that
of
are
the
long
social
gone. By the
wage.
way, yes, Carlin, this is
struggle.
not a woman worthy of a keynote.
It's the oldest form of class
She's
struggle
actually doing better
for
than
more
the
costs and
transgender
materials.
Marxism panel we
At
saw
the same
earlier.
time, the scale of struggle shifts.
But this is
sometimes
what they
getting
like,
bigger
and this
when
is
the
what they
territorial
are.
capacity
This is not
promised to yield
unusual for a
result,
socialist talk.
sometimes getting smaller.
This is
I
extremely
could talk the
typical for a
rest of the night
socialist talk,
about some new
which is why it really
possibilities
pisses me
for
off
what
that these people are
Manisha
winning.
Sinha
There is no
and
reason
Christine
that these
Heatherton and
people
many
should be
others
winning.
term an abolition
There is absolutely
international.
no reason for it. It
I
is
hope that the
uncalled for.
examples that I've shared this evening show that abolition has some imperatives for it to be what we notice in people's work. It must be green. See the tire fire.
But they all
see
understand what
dispossession.
she's saying
To be
is the
green,
thing.
it must be red. See working people of the world uniting in fits and starts. And to be red, it must be international.
Well, she's going to get a standing ovation at
I've
the
been
end.
talking for a while, so one last thought.
Oh, yes, thank God. Wrap up. Let's do a Q&A. I want Q&A time. God.
I'm reminded of Amilcar Cabral's caution that in the early days of the PAIGC armed struggle in Guinea-Bissau, some comrades thought that talking on the radio was making revolution.
That would be Twitter today.
I know that talking here tonight and out through the Zoomlandia doesn't make such a thing. What I intend, though, is for the examples I've shared to provoke organizers and social movement planners to notice patterns, and having noticed patterns, to shift vision a bit to the left, to see what additional possibilities come into view.
I'm trying.
Conceptually, for me today,
But the political
Lenin's
right has canceled
Soviets
me.
might be understood
So
as
anything
all
I
the
do
organizational forms that struggle
is not
for
going to be as
socialism while
impactful as it could
maintaining
be
lively internal debate
because the political
live
right
for
are fucking
change,
morons.
while perhaps making it too. Thank you.
I mean, I'm doing my best, man, but like, when you have people on your own team lying about you all the time and spreading bullshit rumors all over the internet, it makes it really hard to be successful. See, told you, standing ovation. Told you. What did I say? What did I say was going to happen? They all understood what you said. Yeah, everyone owes me $2.
Okay.
That's the rule.
So now I know you're all going to want to get Dr. Gilmore's books.
I mean,
so
I'm definitely
they
like
are
much
for
happier as a
sale
libertarian.
in
That's
Haymarket
very,
Room
very true.
along with other amazing books to check out. Once you've got your books, or if you already have them,
yeah,
if
you're
you
right.
want to
No
get
one
a
should be
signed
waiting
copy,
for
you
me.
can
Everyone
just
should be
line up
working
along the wall over here.
They just did
to
something
my
to
right,
Mike.
to the audience left.
Oh, God, they did something to Mike.
Sorry.
What the hell just
we're
happened?
changing it. All right, sorry. We're going to bring Dr. Gilmore back to
For
the
Q&A.
wait.
There's a whole stack of the books there.
Oh, sorry. They have books at the back of the room. My apologies. We have books in the room for sale, and you can get them there. And then, can they still line up over here, John? All right. Sorry, miscommunication. Get your books back there, and then you can line up along this wall to the right.
Do you think they got the media on their side overnight?
My
No,
right.
they did it by working for decades.
We'll
You
bring
guys
up
don't
and
listen. This is the thing.
Thank you so much.
This didn't happen overnight. This didn't happen by accident. They're winning because they worked for it every single day for decades, Mike. Oh, Jesus. I guess that's it. I guess they are doing Q&A. Hang on, I gotta turn that down because I can't hear anything, and I'm yelling, and I can't hear anything. So I guess they are doing Q&A. I'm really disappointed. I wanted to see Q&A. Q&A is the only interesting part of this. Oh, God. That's it? Oh, no. I was really hoping for a good Q&A. Blah, 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 blah. Standing ovation. Yeah, that pretty much sums it up. Well, I don't know what the fuck that was. I really have no idea. I have no idea at all what that was. But, well, I don't know that we learned anything from that other than, listen, here's the thing. Here's the thing. I was going to talk about this earlier and I forgot. And we don't have Q&A time, so I'm just going to pontificate on it now. I have watched a lot of conferences like this, and I have been to CPAC twice. Now, let me tell you the difference between the Socialism Conference and CPAC. The Socialism Conference, where they are doing word salad speeches like that no normal person understands, is highly focused on motivating a specific audience, compelling that audience, organizing with that audience, and making plans with that audience to actually take action in the real world. Okay? The reason those people are winning, even though they are completely fucking inept, is because they are organizing, they are motivating people, they are taking action after they leave, they are using those events to network, to come up with plans, to do things that actually move the needle in the real world, and they have been doing this for decades. They have won through a battle of inches for decades and decades and decades and decades. Let me tell you what happens at CPAC. At CPAC, they have a beautifully designed set. They have all their high-profile politicians and celebrities. They all have their most finely tailored suits. And they get up on that stage for 15 minutes and they give a stump speech. And then they all go to the bar and drink and do drugs and hook up with each other all night long. And then when they leave CPAC, they never do anything. CPAC is a giant fucking frat party. That's what it is. And yes, frat parties can be fun, but it is not to organize. It is not to come up with plans. It is not to do anything in the real world. The reason the socialists are winning, the reason that they continue to drive culture, the reason that what they say at that conference will end up on CNN within a couple of years is because they are focused on actually accomplishing things in the real world, while the political right is fucking around and playing these games and having it all be about image and presentation and the finely tailored suits and giving the rah-rah speech with the talking points that everyone wants to hear, and then they do absolutely nothing. They do absolutely nothing. And until that changes, these people that we just spent an hour watching and not saying anything of value, these people are going to continue to win because they are the ones that are doing things in the real world. They are the ones looking for every single opportunity to make advances. They are the ones showing up, doing speeches every single day, not to the big crowds, but to the small crowds. That's why they're going to win. That's why they've gotten as far as they have. I've been watching this content for 2 years now, guys. And I watch, and many of you watch with me on Fridays on my second channel. I've been watching this content for 2 years now. And it's all like this. It's all like this. But the left, the far left, the socialists, the communists, what they were saying 5 years ago in their presentations in these tiny little rooms that they make videos of and put on the internet, that ends up on CNN. And that ends up coming out of AOC's mouth. And that ends up coming out of Nancy Pelosi's mouth. Happens over the course of years. It doesn't happen right away. But they keep pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing and showing up and doing the same thing every single day. And while they're doing that, the conservatives and the political right are whining and complaining and canceling each other and playing these fucking games and elevating influencers who do nothing except enrich themselves. That's why the right is losing. That's why the right is not going to win in November, because they don't have this thing shored up like they think they do. They don't. And that's why they're going to keep losing, because it's not even just about November. The left has played the long game for decades and decades and decades, while the right is screwing around. Can the libertarians pull it out? If people vote for them. If people vote for them. If people stop voting for feckless Republicans and start voting for libertarians, then yes, the libertarians can pull it out. But that is what is going to be required, guys. I'm not going to lie. What is going to be required to win is that you stop voting for feckless, cowardly Republicans. You stop listening to bullshit conservative influencers who are only out to enrich themselves. And you start voting for people who are actually doing things in the real world. Because it is not the Republicans, it is not the conservatives, it is not MAGA. I'm sorry. It is not. And might Republicans lose for a little while if you stop voting for them? Yes. It would be a short-term loss for a long-term gain rather. But that is the only way. That is the only way to make the progress necessary, is to let them lose. And a lot of conservatives don't like me for saying this, and this is part of the reason why they cancel me all the time over bullshit. The only way to defeat the left is to let Republicans lose, because they are not going to do anything. They have never done anything. Their events are like completely just about show. It is about presentation. That's all it is. Even look at your elected leaders now. Joe Biden, 2 days ago, gave a speech where he called all MAGA Republicans terrorists. Where have your elected Republicans been? What have they done? Oh, they issued a strongly worded statement. Well, I never. Well, I never. If you keep voting for Republicans, you will lose. And you will lose badly. You need to stop voting for them. Vote for libertarians. Vote for good libertarian candidates. Because the more people that vote for libertarians, the more likely it is that more people are going to come around and start electing people who actually care enough to do something. Because right now, the people that we just watched are winning, and they're going to continue to win. And I don't care how many slogans that like, if you're listening at all, by the way, like I'm old enough to remember when MAGA Republicans were going, Civil War, Civil War, Civil War, when they wouldn't even get out of their easy chair to go to a rally. They're not going to do it, guys. It is not going to happen. The only way this changes is if average people start changing their behavior. That is the only way that this changes. I just don't know what else to say. I really don't. One of the reasons I cannot stand most conservatives is because they know better and they have allowed this to happen. Conservative influencers know better. They know what's going on. And they've allowed this to happen. And they still, to this day, do not do anything. They don't do anything but post memes on Twitter and say, we're being activists. We posted a meme. Didn't Joe Biden look like Hitler? And it changed nothing. It changed nothing. But people keep voting for them and they keep supporting them. And then they wonder why they keep losing. If the political right had even the least little bit of competence, they would have squashed this a long time ago. I have now watched 3 presentations from this socialist conference today. These people are inept. These people are ridiculous. There is no reason why these people should be winning. There is absolutely no reason why these people should be driving culture. The people in that transgender Marxism workshop, the ones that didn't even make sense, they are the ones that are literally controlling big tech. You all really need to think about this. The people that you look at and make fun of with the crazy hair, they're controlling big tech right now, dude. Do you think that's an accident? Do you think they tripped and ended up in that position? No. If you don't change the way you're doing things, then you cannot expect different results. And I'm going to wake up tomorrow and get canceled by some conservative who's upset that I said make Republicans lose. Because they're more interested in their own ego than they are in actually winning. They're more interested in padding their pockets than they are in telling their audience the truth. And that's reality. Until average people change, nothing is going to change. Until average people stop supporting these shills, then nothing is going to change. Until average people change the way they vote, nothing is going to change. And the Republicans are not going to save you. They are not going to save you. And they cannot be changed. For people saying, get involved in the Republican Party and change it, they cannot be changed. I tried. They cannot be changed. The machine will not allow there to be change. Someone said in the chat earlier, we need more Scott Presslers. Why do you think more Scott Presslers don't exist? If the RNC wanted to, they could hire Scott Pressler. They could pay him a boat ton of money. And they could say, train 50 people just like you, 1 in every state. Train 100 people just like you, 2 in every state. They could literally make that Scott Pressler's job right now. They haven't done it. Why? Why? This is one of the most easy things that they could possibly do in the world. Why haven't they done that yet? Why hasn't anyone pushed them to do that? Because they don't want to win. They don't want to win. So Scott Pressler's out there killing himself every single day, doing everything he can. He should have been on the RNC payroll 4 fucking years ago. Can you imagine what would have happened if the RNC had put Scott Pressler on the payroll 4 years ago? Can you imagine what a different reality we would live in right now? But they didn't. And they won't. And they refuse to. Why? Because Scott Pressler's gay. That's why. That's why Scott Pressler wasn't invited to speak at the RNC in 2020, which I am still burned about. Scott Pressler should have been the first person speaking at the RNC in 2020. All because he's gay. So they won't. That's reality. That is reality. And until people wake up and start taking action and start doing things, the people we just watched in that video who don't even make sense, they're going to continue to win. It is infuriating. It is infuriating. And I don't know why more people aren't infuriated by it. I don't know why more people on YouTube are understand why more people on YouTube are infuriated over the fact that I have a tone than they are with the state of this. This video, what I'm doing right now, watch for it. In probably less than a month, all of this is going to get clipped out of context. And there's going to be some new video saying, Carlin is insane. Listen to her talk with a tone. Because they're more interested in attacking me than they are in actually doing anything real. Because none of them actually care. Watch, it'll happen. So I don't actually think we can win right now. I'm going to be really blunt. I don't think we can. I don't think we can win because I don't think enough people care about winning. I think that people just want to be entertained. They just want to be entertained. And I'm going to do what I can because I want to know that I tried everything I could. But I don't know that what I'm going to do is going to be enough. Tom J, thank you for the super chat. I'm not a MAGA guy, but I think a good practical team is Trump or DeSantis with Rand Paul as VP. Still 2 years to play it out. Are you completely right? You are completely right about Scott, just as the Dems won't pass a realistic abortion law. Yeah, Trump isn't going to fix this, guys. DeSantis isn't going to fix it either. And I'll tell you what, DeSantis is showing some authoritarian tendencies that I do not like. Trump is not going to fix this problem. Now, don't get me wrong. I want Trump to run again, even though I will never vote for a Republican again. I will never vote for Trump again. I will never vote for DeSantis. Trump running will be entertaining. I like it from an entertainment perspective. I think it would be funny. But Trump is not going to fix this problem. He's not. Trump is absolutely horrible at staffing. And if Trump was to get elected, not only would he hire the wrong people, which he showed us in his first term, he is horrible at staffing. But even more than that, Trump would be attacked every single day of his presidency worse than he was attacked the first time. He is not going to save us. Ron DeSantis is not going to save us either. The only way, and Republicans need to stop waiting for someone to come and save them. One politician is not going to save you. The only way this changes is if people stop electing horrible politicians. Stop voting for shitty Republicans because they never do anything. There are maybe 3 Republicans that are worth voting for in the entire Congress, and no, Marjorie Taylor Greene is not one of them. This doesn't stop until people start taking action, and I don't even think it's enough to vote for anyone. I don't even think that the action that matters is at the federal level. This is why I'm doing the Schools Exposed program. I think the only action that matters is at the hyper-local level. It's about getting average parents involved in the schools and attacking the schools and turning the culture against the schools, because that is where this is starting. So that's what I'm focused on. But there is no doubt in my mind that Republicans are still going to vote for shitty candidates because they're not going to listen. And when I try to tell them this, they're going to go, "You have stupid hair and you're still a leftist." And they're going to ignore every single bit of it. And they're going to go to the Daily Wire and they're going to listen to Matt Walsh whisper sweet nothings in their ears. And they go, "Oh, Matt, you're so amazing." And Matt Walsh is going to go, "Oh, please give me all your money. I'll keep telling you exactly what you want to hear." And then he's never going to do anything except make movies that he puts behind a paywall that don't change anyone's mind. That's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. So, I'm going to do what I can do. I'm going to focus on the schools. I'm going to focus on creating a community of people that are interested in looking at these things in a nuanced way. You are all welcome to come and join if you are serious about this and you aren't screwing around, because I'm done playing these games. I'm done. If you would like to connect with me, you can go to, there's lots of places you can go to. There's a whole list of them in the description. You can support my Indiegogo campaign at unwokearmy.com/parents. You can find out more about what I'm doing at activelyunwoke.com. You can subscribe to the channel. You can get into my locals community. It's free to sign up for locals and to get in there, because that way I will always be able to communicate with you. Obviously I got permanently banned on Twitter like a week and a half ago. So getting in my locals is actually really important, because all of those people who were following my Twitter, who thought I would never get permanently banned on Twitter, I can't communicate with them now because they didn't join my locals like I told them to. So kb.locals.com, at least sign up for a free account so I can communicate with you and tell you about things I'm working on. But mostly, you have got to start taking action. You watching this right now. You have got to start taking action. You've got to stop waiting for people to come and save you. I will try to give you lots of different ways that you can take action. I wrote a whole book about taking action. You can get your copy at activelyunwoke.com. I like capitalism. I appreciate capitalism, so I don't feel shameful about grifting like that. Because my book actually gives real advice. But even if you don't do that, you are the one who has to take action. Do I have political contacts or ambitions in Florida? No, absolutely not. I'm never leaving the state of New Hampshire. I am in New Hampshire for the long term because I think that New Hampshire is the only state that makes sense for me to be in. And I think that someday New Hampshire will secede, and I want to be here for that. So no, I'm not going to Florida. New Hampshire is actually more free than Florida, by the way. New Hampshire is in a significantly better position than Florida. So anyway, guys, I am going to bed for the night. Again, we are doing, let me just share my screen. We are doing movie night. Hang on. We're doing movie night tomorrow in my locals at 8 p.m. We're watching 1984. I want to invite all of you to join us for movie night in the supporter Discord. We're going to have a great discussion and connect with some amazing people. It'd be a great chance for you to get involved in the community and to meet some people there. There are different ways you can become a supporter. You can donate to my Indiegogo campaign to train 10,000 parents how to find out what the schools are teaching. You can also head over to activelyunwoke.com/support, sign up for Patreon, sign up for locals, sign up for a paid membership on Substack. All of those will get you into the supporter Discord. I will be sending out a link to the supporter Discord to everyone who is a supporter tomorrow afternoon, probably around 3 p.m. ish, maybe 4 p.m. before 8 o'clock. Okay, so everyone's gonna have to get a chance to get into the Discord to get themselves situated, and we will start movie night around 8 p.m. But you do have to be a supporter to get invited to movie night. It's just an extra perk, and I do have an amazing community, and I'm sure you guys will really, really appreciate it. Guys, that is all I have for right now. I'm really tired. I'm gonna go to bed. Please mount that like button on the way out the door. Please subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And I will see some of you tomorrow for movie night. Take care, guys, and we'll see you soon.